I seem to have a nice rabbit trail of topics. I went from exploring Lithuania's ground forces to its air forces, and that made me wonder about the country having its own presidential jet, and in looking at some of the footage from these past topics, I noticed that the president, of course, had his own security detail, and so this made me wonder if Lithuania had a separate security organization to look after this important job, like how the Americans have the Secret Service. Well, it turns out that there is a whole government organization focused on the protection and security of government representatives and dignitaries and VIPs that come on official visits. So let's look at this organization for today's video. The name of this organization in Lithuanian is Lietuvos Respublikos vadovybės apsaugos tarnybą. In English, the organization calls itself the Dignitary Protection Service. It would be nice to refer to them in this video as the VAT, but that makes it sound like I'm calling them a value-added tax. So hopefully you don't mind me mostly referring to them simply as the Security Service going forward. The Lithuanian version of the Security Service's website gives an incredibly long history of special protection for its leaders, going as far back as the 12th century. But to keep this video a manageable length, let's fast forward to 1933. It was in this year that the real predecessor to the Security Service was established. The officers of this government entity organized and carried out the protection of the most important state officials and institutions. The special department consisted of three parts: tracking, protection, and general. Those who worked in the special department were considered secret employees, and their confidentiality was protected. There was no correspondence about them, and their names were hidden by pseudonyms. They had to carry firearms, wear various uniforms, and had the status of a security police officer. Fast forwarding through to 1988, and skipping most of the Soviet occupation, there was the formation of the Green Belts. These were wrestlers, boxers, rowers, weightlifters, and even representatives of Eastern martial arts who ensured public order at the events organized by the Lithuanian independence movement. In January 1990, the Green Belts began guarding Sąjūdis Council Chairman Vytautas Landsbergis. After the restoration of Lithuania's independence in March 1990, the establishment of the Security Service of the leadership of the Republic of Lithuania took place in April 1990. Protecting government leaders, the service also had to collect, check, and provide information to leaders about impending dangers. This service would go through some changes in the following years, including being moved under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. But finally, most recently, in July of 2020, a new law restored the historical name and independent status of the service. And that's where we are now, with the service having the name Lietuvos Respublikos vadovybės apsaugos tarnybą. Scouring the service's website at vat.lt, I can see that there are three main jobs of the security service. 1. To protect people and property. 2. Provide information security. And number 3. Threat management. The continuous monitoring and analysis of risk factors, hazards, trends, etc. I'm not going to go through the entire structure of this organization, but I'll show you the chart here. And so you can see that there are 4 divisions within the Close Protection Department and 3 teams under the Criminal Intelligence Department. There are 6 divisions as part of the Joint Forces Department. I know in the military, J1, J2, J3, etc. all have very specific meanings, but in this case, I'm not sure if it's the same. Anyways, you also have an administration department, an electronic security department, and a facilities protection department. I don't know why the private news site Delphi has such an extensive special website about the security service, but there's a lot of interesting info included. So I'll share it here. When it comes to protecting VIPs, there are 4 rings of protection. The publicly visible bodyguards are the first ring. They are like human shields whose job it is to physically protect their client. The officers of the close protection circle are selected taking into account the gender, height, and psychological nuances of the protected person. If a woman is being protected, usually at least 1 female is included in the security team. And then moving outwards, the second ring is usually made up of officers in adjacent rooms whose job it is to guard exits and ensure no outsider enters the room of the protected person. And then the third ring is made up of plainclothes officers who blend into the crowd and look for people who are behaving abnormally, who may pose a danger. And then finally, the 4th ring may include counter snipers from the Special Police Unit ARAS, other police, and other service officers who provide protection for a much larger area. So what does it take to become a bodyguard in the Lithuanian Executive Security Service? Well, after submitting your documents, you'll need to undergo a health check and pass a physical fitness test. The physical fitness tests consist of 6 tasks to measure your coordination, endurance, speed, and strength. There is a shuttle run of 60 meters to test your speed, and then pull-ups and push-ups, and then for endurance, there's a 3-kilometer run. The tasks and their completion time may vary slightly depending on candidate age and gender. Extensive background checks and psychological examinations will then be undertaken. This includes a polygraph test. This Delphi site says that about 1 in 4 applicants make it to the final stage to begin training, but of course not everyone makes it through training. And so what does training look like? Well, future officers are trained in the use of weapons, combat self-defense, psychology, first aid, protocol and etiquette, and the inspection of people and cars and documents. Selected candidates are given a probationary period of up to 6 months, during which they must complete introductory training. This training phase is mandatory for all new recruits without exception, regardless of previous job experience in the military or other security services. At the end of the training and trial period, the officer becomes a full-fledged member of the security service, joining a team to protect a person or facility. Only VAT officers can apply to become bodyguards of the country's top leaders. Candidates are subjected to the highest requirements, from health, physical, combat and shooting training, to even phobia screening. If the requirements are met, officers are sent to a 3-month personal protection course. There is a lot of training mentioned, and I won't cover all of it, but one of the more interesting or dramatic parts of training includes driver training. Here, officers learn car ramming, reversing, turning the car 180 degrees, blocking, and many other skills that aren't necessary for ordinary drivers. The Executive Security Service has a team of officers whose purpose is to safely deliver the president or other protected persons, and so driving in a convoy or a motorcade is another driving specialty. Officers of this team must be able to drive any car, manual or automatic, and know their operation, specifics, and braking nuances, etc. And so what is the pay like? Well, from the career page of the website, we can see that they currently have openings for junior agents. The salary of a junior agent before taxes ranges from 1,650 euros to 2,060 euros, but it goes up from there. And then agents tasked with protecting representatives of the Republic of Lithuania abroad will see a salary between 2,300 and 4,100 euros per month, and this amount is after taxes. And then there's also a one-time relocation allowance and travel expenses, and then officers are covered by health insurance, and housing is either provided or an allowance is paid out. So there you go. This video may not be totally exhaustive in giving every possible detail about the Executive Security Service of the Lithuanian government, but I think it covers a lot of the basics. I certainly learned a lot myself in the making of this video. So did you know about this service before watching the video? Let me know by leaving a comment. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoy this channel and want to support me in making more videos, please consider becoming a Patreon patron. There's a link down in the description for you to check out. Thanks so much for watching.
Our mission is to protect heads of state and official guests of the Republic of Lithuania with full respect for human rights.